The meaning of the movie author Orpheus for reading 5 minutes published 4.02. 2022 updated 4.02. 2022 Herald of Rivia, created by the imagination of Polish fantasy writer Andrzej Sapkowski, is one of the most popular heroes of the fantasy genre not only in Slavic countries, but all over the world. Especially since the saga of The Witcher was not only translated into English, German, Russian, French and other languages of global importance, but also screened. And if the first film adaptation was recognized as unsuccessful, or especially zealous Russian fans of Sapkowski compared this film with the infamous adaptation of Volkodav by Maria Semyonova, the American-Polish series, the shooting of which has not yet been completed, caused a lot of praise as professional film critics and just fans of the genre. At the same time, the images of the protagonist and his friends, and at the same time his enemies, become more and more interesting and multifaceted from episode to episode. If at the beginning of the series Geralt is shown as a lone hero who fights fantastic monsters, or protects them from the blind rage of people, then as the story develops, the witch gets a loyal friend, a beautiful sorceress Jennifer, who will later become his wife, an adopted daughter, a young princess Ciri, as adventurous as he himself in his youth. The witch, like his kin, cannot have children of his own, thanks to the superhuman professional trials he underwent in his youth. But love, tenderness and passion are quite possible for him. Meanwhile, Ciri herself grows up and discovers her true self. But this happens far from immediately. In the second season the girl is held hostage by an evil old woman demonic, who becomes possessed in Ciri's body, takes over her consciousness and turns the girl into a real little spawn of hell, ready to enjoy killing. If you've read Stephen King's Carrie, or watched the film adaptation of this story, multiply Carrie Bradshaw's rage 100 times. And you'll get a rough idea of the feelings that possess the bewitched Ciri. Eventually the girl gets rid of the demoness power, but that doesn't save her from other sinister characters who are going to use Ciri for their own purposes, not caring a bit about what the girl herself wants. In the Season 2 finale, Ciri is briefly reunited with her parents, but the major dangers are still ahead for her. So why does Season 2 end with a rampage and an epiphany for Ciri? The thing is that this girl herself has powerful sorceress abilities, although she hasn't learned how to control them yet. She is not just a young girl, but the chosen one, a child destination, who is destined to change the face of the magical world and save from inevitable degeneration or death of the oldest inhabitants of this world, the elves. That's why all the heroes of the witch cycle are chasing after Ciri, some in order to keep her out of trouble and prevent the girl from making a mess, others, in order to make her their tool, their banner or just a toy. In doing so, Geralt and Jennifer strive not only to save their adopted daughter, but also to teach her how to use magic so that she will not be helpless before her own destructive power. In Sapkowski's world there are no or almost no unconditionally positive heroes at all. He constantly tries to supply his books with a good dose of realism and even cynicism. For all his love of Tolkien, he is not going to write in the spirit of The Lord of the Rings, whose heroes are often and not always fairly called black and white. His own characters are rather multicolored, like a medieval map or a jester's cloak. Positive heroes necessarily have not only weaknesses and mistakes, but also real flaws. And evil people and magical creatures are not devoid of good feelings, or at least act as their own nature dictates. This applies to sorcerers of both sexes, to the monsters Geralt encounters, and to the ancient elves, who turn out to be complete scumbags, leaving the most ambiguous characters of Tolkien's legends far behind. But what happens to Ciri is also a metaphor for growing up. Few teenagers do not have contradictory feelings that tear their minds and bodies in two. Few of them do not feel the urge to save the world, or to send it to tatters. And finally, like a normal teenager, Ciri in a rage can not only say too much, but also do terrible things. But if an ordinary girl in such a situation will smash her grandmother's favorite cup on the floor, spank her little brother or start to build a trick to the teacher, the young sorceress can easily blow the whole world. As follows from the hints of the crew and the content of the already written books by Sapkowski, in the third season we will see the Maturation of Ciri, who will continue to face serious dangers. The girl will find out who her real parents are and why they abandoned her as a baby, and we will learn what is the purpose of Ciri. And whether she will be able to cope with her dangerous gift. And we will also learn about what forces rule Geralt's world, who the most powerful wizards fear to the point of trembling in their hands, and whether wizards and elves have reasons to envy humans.